Well, welcome to today's webinar, Flanders, the 2024 highlights. This webinar is brought to you by Baxter Media, and we are live today. So thank you so much for being here, everyone. I'm your host, Zephan McMillan, Virtual Events Coordinator at Baxter Media, and today is Tuesday, November 28th. A big announcement for those live today. I'd like to introduce Eilish, who just joined the Baxter Media team this month. So Eilish, welcome here. And we're really excited because Eilish is stepping into the role of our new webinar coordinator. So she has actually been coordinating things for this webinar behind the scenes, and she'll be hosting our webinars going forward as well. So this is her first webinar with us. So she's going to be here in the background learning the process, and you'll be seeing a lot more of Eilish in the future. And our presenter today is Marco Frank, Trade and Partnerships Manager from Visit Flanders. And Marco is in charge of promoting Flanders, Belgium through the Travel Trade Network in North America. We're really lucky to have him here today, and he works closely with tour operators and travel agencies to bring the best travel experience to their clients. The two of us were actually together as early as last week at the European Union Film Festival for a screening of a Belgian film. So that was really fun. It was great to see him there. And it seems like we connect over film festivals, Marco. And I think the last time you were in Toronto was the TIFF, the Toronto International Film Festival as well. So it's good to be here virtually as well. And any chance we have a chance to connect live. So. Marco is the right person to be talking to you today about Flanders, Belgium. He is a Belgian chocolate connoisseur, and he's inspired me to take a trip to Flanders, hopefully as soon as possible as well, just through talking to him. So he's definitely the right person that we want presenting to us today. So again, folks, if you're just joining us, we're here with Marco from Flanders, and he'll be presenting today. A few notes just before we get going here. So Marco will be answering your questions at the end of the webinar. So feel free to type your questions into the Q&A section of the public chat. You'll see that on the right-hand side of your screen, and we will answer them live at the end of the presentation. And remember, this is a live webinar, so your patience is appreciated during any technical difficulties that may arise. The webinar is being recorded, and a copy of the recording will be sent to all registrants and attendees by email within about 24 hours, so you'll receive it tomorrow. And those who attend for the full duration of the webinar will be entered into the draw for a chance to win a box of Belgian chocolates, courtesy of Visit Flanders. So stick with us to the end, folks. I have tried the chocolate. It is delicious. And once the webinar is over, Marco will be contacting the winner to arrange the prize delivery. Yes, you're getting a chat message there. I love chocolate. I love it too. So I'm excited about this one. So with that, I'm going to hand things over to Marco. So Marco, you can take it away when you're ready. Thanks.
All right. Thank you so much for the kind introduction. And you're absolutely right. You know, we do connect over film festivals. I guess a picture says more than 1,000 words, and we know a film, a movie is whatever, 24 frames a second. So I think that's a good way to connect. So again, welcome everyone to this webinar about Flanders, Belgium, and our 24 highlights. What I would like to start with is a general overview of the destination before we then dive into the highlights in regards to our art and heritage, in reference to our culinary experiences, and last but not least, cycling. Those kind of like the 3 or 4, depending on how you want to count, pillars of our promotion in North America, but I'll get to that in a different slide. But first of all, let's start with a quick introduction movie that talks about the Flanders, where it is and what it is. It's about 1 minute long. And maybe just a heads up, it will end a little bit abrupt. It's not a glitch in the system. I just cut off the last couple of 10-15 seconds because there's a lot of irrelevant information that is no longer accurate. So I just cut it in my somewhat unscientific method of cutting a video. So with that being said, let's just roll the first video and look at This is Flanders.
This is Flanders, one of Europe's hidden gems. Well, obviously we've hidden it a little too well, because a lot of people can't seem to find it. But don't worry, we're here to help. Flanders is right here, in Belgium, between France and the Netherlands. Flanders is situated in the heart of Europe. Although it can be hard to find on a map, it's incredibly simple to get to. By plane, for example, through our biggest airport, the one in Brussels, called Brussels Airport. As Flanders is part of the Schengen area, you can get there from another European country without border checks. Easy, right? But do you know what's even easier? Staying in Flanders and discovering the region by train, bus, car, bike, horse, Segway? Nah, that just looks silly. This is better.
All right, so quick overview of Flanders. So first of all, why actually Flanders and not Belgium? First of all, it's important to note that Belgium, the country itself, does no longer have a national tourist office. The National Tourist Office of Belgium got shut down in 2007. As part of a federal reform, the policy of tourism was then delegated to the provinces, so to speak, if I use a Canadian terminology. And now tourism is a provincial affair, no longer a federal affair. And since 2007, there is now us, Visit Flanders, and then maybe or maybe not visit the other guys. But no worries, if you look at the list of cities that are in our destination, Brussels, Antwerp, Bruges, Ghent, Leuven, and Mechelen, it is no surprise that 95% of Canadians who come to Belgium come to our part of the country. The total population of our area is almost 8 million people, so it is relatively small, not a very large country in Europe. In terms of the surface area, it's approximately 2 times the GTA, so the Greater Toronto Area, which again also shows how either large Toronto is or how small Flanders is, depending on what perspective you take. We are in the heart of Europe, close to all the major other competitive cities like Paris, London, Amsterdam, Cologne in Germany. All those cities are less than 2 hours away by train. Talking about train, there's also an interesting update when it comes to the fast rail network in Europe. You may be familiar with Thales and Eurostar. So Thales operating the trains out of Paris to Brussels and out of Amsterdam, and Eurostar operating the trains out of London. So what actually happened is that Eurostar and Thales have merged, and the new company will just be Eurostar going forward. So in the future, you will also travel on a Eurostar train from Paris to Brussels, or on a Eurostar train from Amsterdam to Brussels. So it's just now one company that you will deal with. And we also plan on getting the promotional message out that train travel is a sustainable way of traveling within Europe, especially when you're traveling so close by and in the quote-unquote local neighborhood. So we'll partner or have partnered with Eurostar, and you'll probably also see some joint campaigns and activities in the future next year. So let's just dive into the overarching promotional themes that I had mentioned before. Flanders is home of the Flemish Masters. So what do you mean by that? The Flemish Masters is the overall arching theme. And it means that you find excellent Flemish people that excel in the world of art and heritage. Now, when we talk about a World War I heritage, it's a little bit given by the history. It's not nothing that really connects with local people excelling into anything, but it's still part of the overall umbrella heritage. Then the culinary aspects, where we have some fantastic Flemish cuisine and really master chefs, and we'll dive into that. And also about the whole cycling experience in our destination that really allows you also to combine the art and the heritage and the culinary experiences by bike. Let's just start with our art and heritage. As you know, Flanders history is really omnipresent from the Middle Ages to present time. And the beautiful thing is that each generation adds a new layer. So just because it's old, it does not mean it's useless and we need to tear it down or replace it with something new. We have various layers of history that you can walk through and then see how the destination evolved. Now, the big highlight for us in the world of art next year will be Ensor 24. Who was James Ensor? James Ensor lived between 1860 and 1949, and he was a Belgian artist of the time period of Belgian Surrealism. He died, and next year will be his 75th anniversary, and that's why we have Ensor 24. There will be a lot of exhibitions and events in Ostend. That's the city where he was born and lived most of his life. In Antwerp, we're at the Museum of Fine Arts, the Royal Museum of Fine Arts, the so-called KMSKA. You have the world's largest Ensor collection. And also some exhibitions and events in Brussels. That's the city where he actually studied art. Ensor 24 will allow you to explore his hometown, Ostend, as I had mentioned. So this is a photo that was actually taken in the house where he grew up and lived for most of his life. And that has now been converted into a museum. And apart from being a Belgian surrealist, you can also see that Ensor also painted and created a lot of masks. And these are masks that are really known around the world. He is really like an artist that played with the vision and hiding and masking people and really tried to explore the deeper inner being of those humans that do they really show their true face or not? Apart from being able now to visit his house, which is a museum, he can also do a guided walk through the city of Ostend, where a self-guided walk that is available on a phone, so you just download the app, takes you to all the important highlights in his hometown. As I said, in Antwerp, the focus will be on the largest collections of his masterpieces. The Royal Museum of Fine Arts, which you can see here, only reopened in September last year. The museum had been closed for 11 years, and it is one of the best fine arts museums in Europe. I've now been to the museum twice within the first year of opening, and I can definitely recommend a visit there, even if you just have an hour or an hour and a half. It's still worth the visit. Of course, if you're an art aficionado and want to spend a little bit more time in the museum, then by all means, you can spend a half day or even a full day in the museum. There's plenty to see. Most of the information about Ensor, how the Ensor year will map out, because the initial focus in 24 will be on Ostend, and then the second year it will focus on Antwerp and Brussels, can be found on our website, ensor24.be. The Ensor year actually technically kicks off already in December this year in Ostend. So middle of December is the first exhibition that opens up in Ostend. Now, to get to know the artist a little bit better, there is a museum in Ostend called Musée that also has some of his artwork. And I would like to show you about a 3-minute long video that is hosted by a curator of the museum. And she is really able to explain the works of Ensor and Ensor, the person, in a lot more detail. So let's just have a quick look at James Ensor in the next video clip.
Welcome in Museum of Modern and Contemporary Art in Ostend. My name is Mieke. I work as a curator in this museum and I would like to show you around. We're going to focus today on James Ensor. We have a beautiful collection of works, documents, drawings, paintings, etching in the collection by James Ensor, and I want to show you some of these excellent works. James Ensor was born in a very small city called Ostend. He lived very close to the seaside. There was a fisher community, a very small town. Growing up, he saw the city changing as well to a very modern and fashionable seaside resort, so to speak. And that is also something that you can see in his work. When Ensor was like 16 years old, he already knew he wanted to become an artist. He drew a lot. He painted on whatever he could find, cardboards, pieces of paper, pieces of wood. He took them with him in nature and just spent hours painting dunes, landscapes, the fisher community. This is a little cafe outside of the city of Ostend that he painted. He spent a lot of time outside, was a big fan of plenarism. He was not educated at that point in painting. He had some old Ostend masters that he could take some lessons from, but in the end he decided to go to Brussels and go to the academy. And so he spent almost 3 years there in Brussels studying painting, drawing, modeling, all the classic academic ways of growing as an artist. But after that short period, he decided that that was not his style of painting, of working as an artist, and he decided to follow his own imagination. So when he returned to Ostend, he had an atelier on the top floor of his parents' house, from where he could really observe the street and see the people walking, talking. He was constantly entertained by whatever passed by through his window, and that is visible in multiple drawings and paintings, of course. Here you see how he uses the bird's eye view from his window, looking down to the street, seeing people walking. This is a snowy landscape from the Van Isegemlaan, one of the bigger streets in Ostend. It's very sketchy made. He uses a lot of different techniques, not only paintbrush, but also palette knife. And you see how he really, in a very modern way, tries to create this, in his eye, realistic scenery of what he discovers from his window.
All right. That is a little snapshot of James Ensor, and hopefully you've been inspired a little bit and will consider Ensor 24 as a potential attraction to visit and send your clients next year. As said, the Ensor year starts off already technically in December, so in about 2.5 weeks, and then goes all through next year. Now let's move on and talk about more art-related exhibitions that are happening. There is currently an exhibition about Bouts, which is also an artist from the Middle Ages in Leuven that already started in October. It runs through January next year. There is an exhibition in Antwerp called Rare and Indispensable, which brings together very rare masterpieces. That one also started already in October and runs until February next year. Turning Heads is at the KMSKA, the building that we just saw earlier in Antwerp. And it's a very interesting exhibition from my point of view. It already started in October. I've seen a glimpse of it the last time I was there, and runs until January. And what Turning Heads is actually paintings of quote-unquote models in the Middle Ages. Because artists actually had models they used in the paintings. I mean, nowadays, if you need a model or fashion model, you just go online and look through the number of fashion models that you can book for a particular show. In the Middle Ages, they also had models and their heads that an artist then could book to sit in, and then the head would be painted and included in a painting. Very interesting festival that I like a lot is the Ghent Light Festival that will be on again in 24. It's a festival that only happens every 3 years. It's at the end of January until the beginning of February. And the Light Festival is a festival where you find a lot of different light installations. And light can be anything. It can be fire, it can be a light bulb, it can be a performing art event or performance that works with light, with fire. I've done the event or the Light Festival now twice, and it's always a great experience as you walk through the cities of Ghent in the middle of the night. And it's free of charge because they're all public installations, public performing art installations, and it's a fascinating experience. Beaufort, which starts in March next year to November, is a modern art exhibition at the Belgian coast. And then Bruges Triennale is from April to September next year. And that is also a modern art exhibition in Bruges. You will actually see one of the art installations from 2018 used on our Travel to Tomorrow brochure. What you see there is a whale that was created with plastic fished from or collected from the Hawaiian Islands, from the Pacific Ocean, and then put together to resemble a whale. And next year, again, will be the year to come to Bruges for the Triennale art exhibition. And again, you find public modern art installations throughout the city. And again, it's free. It does not cost anything. You just walk from installation to installation. Now let's move on to our historic World War I sites, Flanders Fields. As you know, a lot of the battles took place in Flanders Fields between 1914 and 1918. And it is important to remember what happened during this time period. And although the centenary is over, it has been over now for 5 years, it's important that we keep the focus on. And keeping the focus on means that we do have a landscapes project that started in April this year and will run through August next year. It will bring a renewed focus on the historic sites of Flanders Fields that couples the permanent historic sites and museums with additional temporary exhibitions and events. I think it would be a little bit too much to list every single event that is happening during the landscapes project, but we do have a brochure on our website that has a detailed program overview and gives you all the different highlights. One of the projects, I'm just picking a random example here, quote unquote random example, is the 50,000 flowers projects for Flanders Fields. So this is a project that is happening now, where we've just planted about 50,000 flowers, bulbs in Flanders Fields, and then come spring next year, they will hopefully all blossom in Flanders Fields. And I myself contributed to that as well. So I did get some bulbs that I planted, but of course, as you know, it's always difficult to plant or to bring flowers or seeds back to North America. So I actually gave them to my parents, and my parents actually planted those bulbs in their garden. Now, to get a little bit of an inspiration for this project, let's take a look at a quick poem that people are reading and that tells a little bit about Flanders fields and hopefully gives you a little bit of inspiration to keep the landscapes of Flanders fields on your radar.
You have left beauty here in everything, and it is we that are both deaf and blind.
By coarse grass mounds, here the small crosses rise.
Sunk sideways in the ditch or low inclined.
Over some little stream where waters sing, by shell holes blue with beauty from the skies.
Even the railway cutting has kind shade and color
where the rusty wire is laid.
Around the soft tracks. Because you knew them thus, the dark mouth dugouts hold the light for us.
And here each name rings rich upon our ears, which first we learnt with sorrow and with tears.
All right, great, thank you. So as said, the Landscapes project not only looks back into the past, but also looks a little bit forward into the future. How did the landscapes recover from the period of World War I, when all the monuments were erected immediately following World War I, when the cities were rebuilt, but also takes a little bit of a look into the far future, what will happen in the next few decades. Now, in Flanders Fields, it's not only a great place to reconnect with the past, but also to experience some great culinary highlights and maybe cycle through Flanders Fields, so you can really combine a lot of different activities there. Talk about culinary. Let's just move on to the next main focal area of our promotional themes. As you know, Flanders is at the crossroads of Europe and really combines different influences and creativity from all around Europe and all around the world. With that being said, I think it's already time for a quick video again that just sets the stage, for some of you it's already like lunchtime, for Culinary Flanders and what Culinary Flanders is all about. So let's roll out a little 1-minute culinary video.
Look at the life of a real soil. What we're looking at here is pure cultural history. You are an artist. You want to work with the best product. So the Belgian chocolatiers, they thrive on quality.
We have to look at nature gives.
Original, tasteful, and full of history and heritage. From sauce to beers. People want sustainable and locally produced food. You're an aquaponic farm. What does that mean?
Belgian chocolate is constantly innovating.
Man, if you could smell this right now. And what's the secret? Tradition. And craftsmanship, of course. This is food pairing in its purest form.
We are innovating our way of serving gastronomy.
All right, so while we are exploring the Flemish masters in art and heritage, we might as well just also explore the Flemish masses in the culinary world. Because if you travel to Flanders and see all the great historic highlights, the great art, we have to eat, unless you booked a diet trip, which I still have to hear somebody selling a diet trip. So we must eat just well and really eat the Flemish way. So what are the real culinary updates and highlights? Well, first of all, we just keep adding an amazing amount of great restaurants. Right now, the count is at 138 Michelin star rated restaurants in all of Belgium. The count has increased again this year, and you have a tremendous amount of great food all over the country. And the restaurants are not just in the big cities, they're also in the countryside. They're really like spread out throughout the whole country. You do have 1 stars, you have 2 stars, and you have 3 Michelin star rated restaurants. The food is local, organic, farm to table, and you really have an experience that is not cost prohibitive. I think that's the important message here. I still hear a lot of concerns by people saying it's like, oh my God, it would be so nice to go to a Michelin star rated restaurant. But, you know, with food prices going up, restaurants costs going up, I don't think I can afford this. I don't think it's in my budget. But the good thing is that food in Flanders is really affordable. It does not break the bank, especially when you compare that to restaurants cost in typical big American cities or Canadian cities. You know, it doesn't matter if you go to Toronto, Vancouver, or anywhere else in North America and go to an expensive restaurant, it costs a lot of money. Or even if you go to Paris, London, it's a huge cost. I understand that, but I have to honestly say in Flanders, the cost is really manageable. It's really affordable. I think it should be on everybody's agenda, should be in every program, at least 1 visit to 1 Michelin star rated restaurant. Great food all over. Then the great news is with COVID kind of being quote unquote over or really done, a lot of the food and beverage festivals are back. So you see beer festivals, culinary festivals, you see new festivals that just did not happen before. Everybody's coming back with festivals. I just came back myself about 2 weeks ago from an amazing beer festival in Antwerp. Here's a photo of the Belgium Beer Weekend in Brussels, which is a big beer festival. So the great news is all the culinary, all the food, beverage festivals are back. And if you can build it into an itinerary, absolutely, definitely have to do that. It's a great experience. We also have a number of new visitor experience centers, primarily around beer. One example here is Grimbergen, the Grimbergen Abbey. It's just an abbey outside of Brussels. It's, so to speak, on the Ring Road. It's very close to the airport. These are Norbertine monks. I've actually met the monk that you see here in the picture on the left-hand side myself about 2 weeks ago when I was over there. So it's a real great experience to experience the abbey and the beer that the Norbertine monks actually brew there. And they haven't really brewed the beer there in a very long time. They just recently took up brewing again. It's a nice visitor experience. Along the same line, you have a new visitor experience at St. Bernardus Brewery in Watteau, which is actually in West Flanders, in Flanders Fields. So if you do experience Flanders Fields, you might as well just swing by at the St. Bernardus Brewery in Watteau and do the brewery tour, go to the new visitor experience center, and then you can all the way climb to the rooftop, have a lunch there, have a dinner there, have a great view of the area. And the St. Bernardus Brewery is actually quite important because there is a connection to the Trappist Abbey of West Vleteren. In a nutshell, St. Bernardus for a very long time, for about 45 years, brewed the West Vleteren beer before it was taken back, so to speak, in-house within the Abbey. But St. Bernardus also has some fantastic beers, and it's very close to the original Westvleteren beer. Then a new visitor center experience is the Belgium Beer World right in Brussels. So basically a block away from the Grand Place, where I just showed you the picture of the beer festival, you have the former stock exchange that has been converted into a beer museum. So the stock exchange became a little bit redundant, as you know, for the last decade or two. A lot of the stock dealing, buying and selling is now done online. It's no longer done physically in the building. So the Brussels Stock Exchange, the actual physical place, is shut down. And now the building was vacant. And over the last almost 10 years, they converted this into an amazing beer museum that just opened up 2 months ago in September. And I've also been there, and it's a great way to learn about Belgian beers. It's, I would say, from an experience point of view, very interactive. And it's also a great start to find out about Belgian beer, as it really sets the basics and explains everything. And then at the end, you can climb all the way to the rooftop and enjoy a beer, and then see the center of Brussels. Now let's move on to cycling, our last pillar. As you know, cycling is really big in Flanders. It's an excellent destination for cycling for all skill and interest levels. So what's new in the world of cycling? Well, first of all, when we talk about cycling, who do we target? Because there's two different target groups. One is the mammal, so the middle-aged man in lycra that really, likes to dress up like a pro rider, the sportive cyclist that wants to go out and go through all the endurance, the strengths, the challenges, and suffer on the couples, on the hills of Flanders. It's also great if you don't want to go through that riding yourself, as a great spectator experience for the cycling events, and also the great visitor centers that we have. But also, not only is there the mammal, the male, but there's also the Wilma, which is the women in lycra, middle-aged. So it's a slightly different acronym. So these are really like the hardcore cyclists that we target. And for them, we have a new product called the Flandrian Challenge. And this is an app-based challenge where we have teamed up with the app Strava. And the challenge is that you should ride all 59 segments of the challenge in less than 72 hours, anytime you like. And then once you complete the challenge, you become a true Flandrian, a true hero. And you have your name engraved on a little mini cobblestone in the cycling museum in Oudenaarde. And your name will be permanently displayed on the wall of fame. The last time I checked, which was a couple of weeks ago, we had close to 1,000 people that have already completed the challenge. Now let's look at a quick video that explains the challenge in a little bit more detail.
Flanders, the heartland of cycling, challenges you for an unbelievable experience. Hit more than 50 iconic Bergen cobbled segments in less than 3 days. Marked on the road and tracked online. Shake it on the Paderberg Pavé. Grind your teeth on the Kappelmeer and hammer your way to the top of the Camelberg. So, do you have what it takes? The greedy rhythm in your cadence? The need for a personal monument? Or you just want to enjoy Flanders' finest? Flanders is ready, are you? Conquer the Flandrian Challenge.
So who's up for the challenge? Let's go cycling in Flanders. Talking about going cycling in Flanders. It is really like a cycling destination for everyone, and you can cycle everywhere you like. It doesn't matter what region you're in. I said it's even possible to explore Flanders fields by bike. There is a new bike route out there that I'll talk about shortly on the next slide about the new networks that we have. You can watch the races, Gent Wevelgem or the Tour of Flanders. You can experience maybe the World Championships in gravel biking that will happen next year. So Flanders is home to great World Championships in cycling, or you can follow the cyclocross. So a great cycling destination for the sportive cyclists. But no worries, we also have a great cycling for the leisure cyclists. So if you're not into the hardcore thing, no worries. We can also do the leisure biking. There are 9 new iconic cycling routes that focus and combine the best of Flanders. So they combine different highlights. They interconnect with the European routes, so you can easily cycle to Germany, to Holland, to France. There's, for example, like a blue route that you can see goes along the coast. And then there's a greenish route that goes from the coast down to the western side. That is the World War I Flanders Fields route. Or you can cycle the red one. That's our focus for 24. The Art Cities route. So what is the Art Cities route? It really combines the big cities. You start in Brussels, then you go to Mechelen, up to Antwerp, then to Ghent, Bruges, and eventually to the coast. I cycled the red one myself last year together with 3 trade journalists. They wrote about it, so you might remember some trade coverage in your publications. So that's just to see how leisure cycling is different from sportive cycling. As you can see, it's a lot more relaxed. And there's one more final video that I can show you now. All right, so in the summary, we have reached the end of our webinar, Flanders, the 24 highlights built upon our existing pillars that we have been promoting in the past in our art and heritage with the focus on James Ensor 24 and the landscapes project in Flanders Fields. Builds upon our culinary experiences, in particular to our Michelin star restaurants and the many new visitor experience centers that we have primarily in the breweries. And then last but not least, also on the cycling, both the sportive cycling with the Flandrian Challenge and the leisure cycling on the new iconic cycling routes. With that being said, I would like to thank you for paying attention to me, and we can open up the webinar to questions and answers.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Marco, and excellent presentation. I love those videos, and there's lots of exciting stuff to have there. So The first question here, do many parts of Flanders have Christmas markets? And if so, which are most popular? So Christmas markets, which are most popular? And folks, please submit more questions from the presentation in the chat. This is our only question so far. So we've got lots of space for more questions. So if you have a question, be sure to submit it in the chat. And yeah, but there's our first one. Go ahead, Marco.
So yes, we absolutely do get into the winter spirit, the holiday spirit, the Christmas market spirit, whatever you want to call it. And pretty much, every city, every village has Christmas markets. If you're staying with the bigger, the better known cities, like Brussels or Antwerp or Ghent or Bruges, they all have Christmas markets. Some might even have some, ice skating going on in the city. You can definitely see the Christmas carols, mulled wine, gingerbread houses, and get into the spirit of the season. The beautiful thing about the Christmas markets in Belgium is that they generally tend to stay open longer. So let's say you travel between Christmas and New Year's, you still have the Christmas markets. You are there at the beginning of January, the Christmas markets are still there. So you're not necessarily confined to the period immediately before Christmas. They generally break down, I would say, the first week of January. That's when they come to an end. But it's like, if that's something you want to travel for, because Flanders is really a year-long travel destination. We're not just limited to just the summer or just the spring or just the fall. You can definitely come in winter and get into the spirit of things. And then, for the most part, have many of the same experiences, but you have shorter lines. You have immediate entrance to the museum. There's not so many people waiting. So it's a great way to experience the destination off season.
Okay, great. So next question. What was the name of the poet again for the Flanders video you showed?
I would have to get back to you on the exact poet that was in the video. But I can find that name because it was mentioned in the video, so I can just look it up and get it to you, Sherry. That's not a big problem. I'll just send that info to you.
Okay, great, good stuff. So, folks, any more questions here? Looks like we might have one more. And when I was there, I loved my time at the, I'm not going to pronounce that well, but Bruegel. Okay, that's good. I'm glad I have you here, Marco. Was just there for a little while, or sorry, was it just there for a little while, or is it a permanent museum?
Okay, so that particular exhibition was just a temporary exhibition in that particular building. The Flemish masters years 18, 19, 20 were thematic years that focused on three different artists. In 2018, it was Rubens, and then it was Van Eyck, and then was Bruegel, and then Van Eyck, and that was just a temporary exhibition in that particular building that's being referred to. But Bruegel paintings can be seen in many other museums throughout Belgium. For example, in the Royal Museum of Fine Arts in Brussels, it has a great Bruegel exhibition. So we continue, to put the spotlight on our different artists, the different Flemish masters. Before 2020, it was primarily like the old masters. Now, as you can see for next year, it's a little bit more of the modern masters, with Ensor, the painter from the time of the Belgian Surrealism. But of course, the old masters are still present. But that particular exhibition that the person referred to, that was just a temporary exhibition.
Okay, great. All right. So, well, thank you for your questions, folks. Really appreciate it. I think let's wrap up the Q&A time. So Yeah. Thank you for your questions, everyone. And thanks, Marco, for the answers. So, Marco, I believe we have a winner of the delicious box of Belgian chocolates. So feel free to go ahead when you're ready.
Seven, I think we do have a winner, and the winner is Lynn Tam. So congratulations to winning an amazing box of Belgian chocolates. And please do get in touch with me. It's very easy. It's my first name, Marco, M-A-R-C-O .Frank at visitflanders.com. Let me know your shipping address, and then we'll get this amazing box of Belgian chocolate for immediate consumption to you right away. Or just give it a little bit of time for shipping.
Yes, for shipping, of course. Yeah, that's great. Okay, good stuff. So, and I can always help make that connection. So, Lynn, congratulations. Glad you're here. And thank you, everyone, for being here. We really appreciate it. Huge thank you to Marco for joining in today and for giving this excellent presentation. Really, you know, a great destination and very exciting things going on for Flanders. So thank you so much. You're getting lots of thank you messages in the chat. That's good. One comment here, lovely to see updates on Flanders. It's been too long and I need to get back. I agree. That's great. Yes. Okay, good stuff.
So come on over. You know, we have space. We would love to see you. And if there's anything I can do to help you, if there's anything you need, assets, images, information, training material, whatever, or even if you need some chocolates, just let me know. I could be persuaded to come to your agency and maybe bring you some chocolates in person. Maybe next year. I'm not sure if we can squeeze it in this year.
That's great. Good stuff. You can also register for more upcoming webinars at travelpress.com by clicking the link at the top of the chat there. You'll see it in blue to the travelpress.com website. And you can find all of our past recordings, like I mentioned there, and also upcoming webinars. So, for example, our next webinar is on December 7th. And we're actually really excited about this one because for the first time ever, the Celebrity Cruises Canada team is inviting you to join them virtually on board their newest ship, the Celebrity Ascent, as she celebrates her first inaugural sailing. So you can register by clicking the link at the top of the chat there in blue, and you'll be able to see and experience this brand new ship as Alan Brooks, the Celebrity Cruises National Director of Sales for Canada, takes you through some of the various venues on board. So those in attendance for the full webinar will also be entered to a grand prize draw of a $500 Celebrity Cruise credit. So you can click the link in blue at the top of the chat and register for that virtual first look at this incredible new ship. So we're looking forward to that one. And with that, we're going to wrap things up. So thank you again to Marco, and thank you to Visit Flanders. Thank you all for being here. We really appreciate your time. And definitely give Marco an email, and he'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to hear from you as well. So thank you so much for being here, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.